We will now begin the pre-meeting for the March 6, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Do we have someone to present the agenda this evening?
Good evening, everyone. Go ahead and jump right into it. First item tonight under new business, item 1A. This is a site plan for La Coretta Grocery Store at 316 O'Fallon Plaza. They originally came through in January of 2024, but that plan has since expired. They are close to getting their construction plan and building permit approvals, but they just ran out of time while working on that. So this is the same plan that was approved in 2024. It's for a 1,520 square foot building addition that'll roughly take the place of the existing greenhouse. Staff is recommending approval of the site plan with the same conditions as before. We would also like to add a condition that states provide curbing and landscaping at the drive aisle on the south side of the building to prevent cars from parking in the grass and creating further erosion issues. We had someone reach out to us and point out that there were cars that park in the grass along that drive aisle next to the building. And when it rains, it washes out mud all throughout that drive aisle. So to prevent that, we'd want them to put some curbing in there. So here's the site layout. You can see in gray the addition, and you can kind of see where the existing greenhouse was at. So any questions on that?
Mayor?
Do they know that we're adding that condition?
I haven't been able to reach out to them yet. As when they get here before the meeting starts, I'll brief them on that.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on to the next item.
All right, next is new business items 2A and 2B. This is a request for a conditional use permit for a movie theater at 900 Caledonia Drive. This is the location of the previous movie theater in Caledonia, but that conditional use permit has expired since it's been closed for over a year. The applicant is proposing the use of 3 of the existing movie theaters as is. That portion of the building was proposed to be Lava Island. If you remember back to when they came through with the Lava Island and the esports portion of the building, they have decided not to move forward, so they're filling that in with the 3 theater cinema. We've also been informed that the remainder of the theaters will be removed and used for a baseball simulator. We're working on an administrative approval of that. The exterior of the building will still be painted and updated as outlined in the previous CUP approval for this site, and I have a picture of that as well. Staff is recommending approval of that CUP with the standard conditions. Any questions on that?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just can you clarify, the whole Lava Island and esports is, both of those are out in lieu of both of these?
So the esports is still going in. Lava Island has backed out, and they're replacing that portion of the building with 3 of the movie theaters and then this baseball simulator that's coming forward. So
Got it, thank you.
And I do have a floor plan that'll kind of lay that out. I'll go ahead and move ahead. Right here are the 3 movie theaters that they're keeping, and then this is where the other theaters were at that they are converting into a baseball simulator, batting cage simulator. So.
And then the other side will be, sorry. The other side will be the esports?
Yeah, so the esports is over here. They did expand a little bit, I believe. But yeah, this is the esports here. This will be kind of a shared bar, kitchen area for all 3 of the tenants. And then these are the 3 theaters that the movie theater is going to continue to operate.
Very cool. All right.
Right.
Mayor?
With the theater on the left-hand side, as I'm sitting here, are they going to put some signs on the wall or something up there? You have the batting cages.
Yeah, that's been one of our questions that we've asked them about that. Like I said, we are working on an administrative approval of that conditional use permit for the indoor recreation. that was one of our questions to them. Are they going to do some sort of soundproofing, or how loud are these? If it's actually hitting a ball, or if it's something softer. So I don't believe we've heard back on that yet. But yeah, that's definitely something that we've asked about.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on to the next item.
Okay. And here's the exterior view. They're going to paint that to not be the faded purple and blue, so it should look a little better. All right, moving on, new business, items 3A and 3B. There's a request for a conditional use permit for an oversized shed at 306 Narrowleaf Lane. The maximum size for sheds is 150 square feet, but that can be increased with a conditional use permit. Excuse me. The applicant constructed a 192 square foot shed without a permit or getting the CUP approved first. Staff has since been made aware of HOA restrictions in that subdivision that prohibits sheds entirely. Because of that, staff is recommending denial of this conditional use permit. There's no need to approve it if it's just going to be denied by the HOA. So staff has placed conditions of approval should you guys choose to approve it or recommend approval, excuse me. So we have both options there for you. So, and then we did not get a plot plan from them, but here is a picture of the shed that is in place. So,
Yes, Commissioner Seymour.
Did I hear you say, I think I read somewhere, he didn't get a permit at all from the city?
correct.
Didn't get any approval from the subdivision homeowners association?
It doesn't sound like it, no.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go on to the next item.
Good.
Take it down.
All right, next is new business, item 4A. This is a request for a site plan at 512 Sondren. Again, this was one that was approved in January of 2024, but has since expired. The site plan is for a 2,750 square foot nursery / landscaping facility. It's the same plan as before with minor changes to the materials used in the building exterior and fencing. I can point some of those out when we look at the elevations. Staff is recommending approval of this site plan, again, with the same conditions and some additional engineering comments. Here is the site plan right at the corner of Sondren and the East Terra Sondren connector. One of their changes is that they said that these material storage bins might be constructed at a later date, not with the main building. Here are the elevations. One thing they pointed out, or a couple things they pointed out, changing this cedar tongue and groove, I guess ceiling out there. They're wanting to change that to just a normal material. And then instead of the garage doors, they're looking at maybe some picture windows or like a French door, just for cost reasons. So, and then they were also mentioning a different fence instead of the wrought iron fence. So it's just some minor changes to the appearance, but still kind of maintains the same character. So any questions on that?
Mayor?
The barn or whatever you want to call it. What's the siding?
It's board and batten. It's a wood material.
Okay. It's not metal.
It's not metal.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Howard?
Thank you, ma'am. They were looking for a relief from the setbacks in the storage bins, but if they're not going to provide those, they don't need that relief, do they?
At this point, I guess they didn't give us a definitive answer of if it would be built now or in the future. If you don't want to grant the setback relief, you can. They'd have to come back in the future. If they do decide to put in these storage bins, they might have a clearer picture of what they're looking to do with this initial construction. So that would be a good question to ask them, I'd say.
Thank you.
So what about the fence? You had mentioned that they were looking at that wrought iron fence, but now they're going to do something else? Are they?
Yeah, I believe they said a cedar fence, so just a wood fence. And that would be just wood gates as well. So.
All right. Let's go on to the next item.
Okay. Next is another conditional use permit for an oversized shed at 407 Briscoe Avenue. Like I said earlier, the maximum size allowed is 150 square feet. The applicant is proposing a 200 square foot shed. They did apply for a permit on this one, but it hasn't been approved yet because they need this conditional use permit. Staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit with the following conditions. That they shall obtain all relevant building permits. The placement shall comply with the standard accessory structure setback requirements. And should the shed fall into a state of disrepair, it shall be removed. Then here's a picture of the shed that they are looking at. This is not the shed on the property. Just want to point that out. It's not out there yet. So any questions on this one?
Commissioner Howard?
There's an existing shed in the backyard now, is that true?
I believe so. I think they're removing that one and putting in,
remove
they
that
want to put in a bigger one, yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Seymour?
I'm sure they're aware, but no occupancy will be allowed in this shed. Nobody's going to be living in it.
Correct. I don't believe there's any utilities out to it. But yeah,
Doesn't stop something.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, we can make sure there's a note or something somewhere that that's not allowed.
Put a note in there, no human occupancy.
Yeah, sure.
It's sad you have to say.
All right, let's go on to the next item on the agenda.
All right, next is new business items 6A, B, and C. This is a request for a preliminary plat and site plan for a new Goodwill location at 1620 Market Center Boulevard. They are proposing to create a common ground lot for the detention. They're also expanding the underground detention a little bit. And then they are adjusting the western property line to make the site a little bit bigger. They are proposing a 16,912 square foot building, and that's with the stock room in the back and then the retail store component. They have 5 donation drop-off loading spaces and then 3 loading docks at the rear of the building. Staff is recommending approval of the preliminary plat with the condition that the record plat shall include all notes and information required on the preliminary plat. There are a couple notes and just some minor things that needed to be on there. So instead of listing them all out, we figured just a note just to capture all of that. And then for the site plan, we are recommending approval with the conditions that all drive aisles need to be a minimum of 25 feet. I think they had some of them shown at 24, so they just need to make sure those are widened. Provide a 10-foot wide trail along the property frontage. This should not be on the existing shoulder. It should follow the existing trail layout. Currently, there's an 8-foot trail out there, so they need to expand that and then address the construction plan comments. Here is the plat. You can see this is the new lot that's being created for the detention, the common ground. And then the existing property line runs along here, and they're just adjusting it to be over here. And then that existing drive aisle is being removed and put in with the new site plan. As you can see here, that new aisle in the back will be relocated from what's there existing. And then here is what the building will look like. So any questions on that?
Yes, Commissioner Howard?
When you look at the back of this building, there's no sidewalk along the street being provided. This street's going to extend to the lot to the south, which could see pedestrian traffic. Is there a reason that wasn't provided for?
I think just because it's just it's a private drive aisle, it's not necessarily a public street. So if that's something that you would like to have on there, we can add that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, let's go on to the next item.
All right, the next item is a code change for Chapter 405. We'll talk about that during the meeting. And then we have Spencer that's going to come up and do just a short training, an overview of the planning and zoning process. So we'll have him come up here and load up that PowerPoint.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah. All right. So I know a lot of you guys have been on the commission for quite some time, but I figure it's always good to have just a little bit of a refresher every once in a while, what your role is, what our role is, and how this whole thing operates. So very generally, what is planning and zoning? Planning, of course, is a policy guide to development and land use within an area in relation to the comprehensive plan or other planning documents and best practices, while zoning are the actual laws or regulations that control land use, building density, or other development features. One document that you'll hear us mention a lot is the comprehensive plan. That probably is, of all of our major documents, the one that we will mention the most. It's a guide for consistent development decisions based on goals and objectives. The new comprehensive plans are typically adopted every 10 to 20 years or so, with small updates as needed. Then OFallon's comprehensive plan was adopted in 2021, and since then we have had a couple of small updates, a couple scenario plans added. For example, the parcel at the southwest corner of K and Outer 364. The comprehensive plan guides zoning, which in turn guides planning practices and decisions. Then the current zoning of a property may not align with what we see as the ideal use of that piece of land in the future land use map. That'll come up a lot in development proposals. And so what is it that we do as staff? Our job is to work with developers to ensure compliance with the zoning code and the comprehensive plan, to serve as a liaison between you all and the developers, prepare agendas, staff reports with recommendations based on how proposals conform to the zoning code and comprehensive plan. And then, of course, in most of our reports, we include conditions which can be based on code requirements or good planning principles or best practices that may not necessarily be required by the code. And of course, there are other day-to-day tasks that we do that aren't seen by the commission typically: sign permit reviews, business license reviews, and opening the O's and building the O meetings, et cetera, meeting with residents or developers as they come up to the second floor counter. And then there are several types of submittals that the commission will see regularly: site plans, conditional use permits, preliminary plats, rezoning, area plans, final plans, zoning code amendments. Site plans are probably what you all see the most common. These are development plans for a specific site showing proposed buildings, streets, sidewalks, utilities, landscaping, or other improvements. And final approval is at the commission level. These do not go to council. Conditional use permits, this is probably the second most common thing that you all see. And this is a permit for a use that is not generally appropriate for the zoning district it's located in, without certain conditions regulating the proposed use. And this does allow for a more in-depth review of the use and general operation of the proposed use. The commission is a recommending body for this. It goes to council for final approval, with the exception of CA uses, such as bars or restaurants serving alcohol, microbreweries, and certain types of daycares. For those uses, the final approval does stay at the commission level. Preliminary plats. This is a development plan for dividing land into multiple smaller tracts of land for commercial, residential, or industrial uses. Any land split creating a new lot requires a preliminary plat. And this is approved at the commission level, followed by a notification provided to the council, usually in the consent calendar. The council does have the authority to review or modify the decision at their discretion, though. Rezoning is the process to change the zoning designation of a property to allow for different land uses. Also can be used to zone newly annexed properties. And this is approved at the council level with a recommendation from the commission. Area plans are development plans for residential subdivision on a large tract of land showing the subdivision of the property, the proposed uses, buildings, streets, sidewalks, et cetera, as part of a planned unit development. And these PUDs are designed to deal with large-scale development and facilitate better site planning and community planning through modification of certain district regulations as they apply to the development. These should be used sparingly when traditional developments would be unreasonably difficult or impossible. And for example, some of the modifications you might see on a PUD, a reduction in front yard setback or rear yard setback, lot sizes, but there are certain things that cannot be changed, such as overall density or side yard setbacks. This is approved by the council with recommendation from the commission. The final plan is the finalized development plan for residential subdivision as part of the planned unit development. These can be approved for smaller areas of the overall development instead of one final plan for the entire subdivision. Once again, approved by the council with recommendation from the commission. Zoning code amendments, we've got one of those tonight for some engineering stuff. This is changes to the code specifically in the land use chapter. Once again, approved by the council with recommendation from the commission. So what do we include in the staff reports? Info on the subject property, of course, size, current zoning, proposed zoning, the comprehensive plan designation, so that's going back to the future land use map. What do we as a city think this property would be best used as in the future? What the applicant's proposing to do with this property, what types of uses and zonings are surrounding this property, and provides general context to the site and surrounding area. Sometimes you'll see additional comprehensive plan info if it's in a scenario plan. We saw this a couple months ago with the sports facility. That section of Bryan Road was in a scenario plan, so we included that in the staff report. We'll also include important development details such as lot coverage calculations, how the property is accessed, how much parking is required and proposed, stormwater detention, landscaping requirements, building height, building materials, photometric plan. And then for PUDs, it'll include the deviations from the underlying zoning district, such as lot sizes. We'll show that the density calculation is in line with the underlying zoning district, and then any other deviations from the zoning code that might be present. And then, of course, you'll find the staff recommendation with the findings used to make that recommendation and our recommended conditions of approval. And just as a quick reminder on the Sunshine Law and open meetings, communications between us and you guys is public record and therefore subject to the Sunshine Law requirements. The best practice is not to discuss agenda items with other commissioners in general. This includes emails regarding your opinions, how you intend to vote. These should only be discussed at the meeting in an official capacity. And that takes us to the end of the slideshow, and if you all have any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
Seymour, Commissioner Seymour?
Conditional use permit.
Mm-hmm.
Who are they approved by?
Most of the time, it's council. There are a few this CA uses which are commission.
So the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Curtis? Push a button.
The Planning and Zoning Commission does not have the authority to do that? Or is that the Board of Adjustment?
The conditional use permits, the Planning and Zoning Commission is a recommending body for most of them. There are a few uses which are approved at the final level from you.
So in the case of, let's say, someone with something that's exceeding 150 square feet,
There's actually a provision in the code for these oversized sheds that says that the proper channel to go through in these cases is a conditional use permit.
okay, and that exceeds the requirement of the code, is that correct?
Correct. I don't have that exact verbiage in front of me, but I think Stephanie.
You know, to me, that's not proper. That's
That-
not proper how we can have a zoning code that we can supersede. I would think that would be the Board of Adjustment.
In most cases, that type of thing is, but it is written in the code that in this case, it is a conditional use permit.
So I can rest assured tonight, if we do approve this, that no further action other than forwarding it to
The council.
the city council
Yes.
is needed. Yeah, I don't get it, but whatever. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else have any questions? All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
We appreciate it. All right, and with that, we'll take a recess until 7 o'clock, and we'll start the regular meeting. We will now begin the March 6, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Tracy, can you do the roll call?
Chairperson Carolyn Thomas,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Nunnery,
Present.
Mayor Hennessy,
Present.
Councilwoman Cook,
Present.
Commissioner Howard,
Present.
Commissioner Seymour,
Present.
Commissioner Nagar,
Present.
Commissioner Baust,
He's excused.
Commissioner Heath,
Present.
Commissioner Lammers,
Present.
Commissioner Link,
Present.
Commissioner Wexler,
Present.
Commissioner Eggmeyer.
Present.
Mayor, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the commission, you have in your front of you this evening's agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved, Nunnery.
Second, Wexler.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the March 6, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
All right, the agenda for this evening's meeting has been approved. At this point in the meeting, we open it up to citizens' comments for anyone who's completed a comment card. And this evening, we have one person who's completed a comment card, and that's Mr. Arnie Dienoff.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, members of the Commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff. I'm running for City Council and also the City Public Advocate. First of all, on page 1 of the meeting agenda, I don't see anywhere where there's meeting minutes on the agenda. State Law, Chapter 89, and also court case law says that meeting minutes, I'm sorry, I meant meeting minutes, not meeting agenda. Meeting minutes on the meeting agenda must be approved by the governing body of which that the meeting took place. So I don't see them again this month on your agenda for approval. Moving on from there, 1A is for 316 O'Fallon Plaza. If I recall, I believe they came a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, before this commission and went for approval for doubling the size of their building, I believe, and replacing the garden building, I believe, something like that. So I'm not exactly sure why it's again on the agenda. The other thing I'd like to address is 512 Sonern Street. I believe that that was for a garden center. And again, I think they came before the council for approval. I remember there were issues with the sidewalk, having a ADA compliant sidewalk all the way along their frontage of Sonern Street. Hopefully we can get that resolved and rectified. Everything else has a public hearing, so those are my comments for tonight's agenda. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
All right, with that, we will close citizens' comments. The first item this evening under new business is a request for consideration and motion for action on a site plan for 316 O'Fallon Plaza. Casillas Properties LLC is the property owner for a building addition. Do we have someone to present this item? Please come forward and give us your name and information.
Jerry Burhorst, I'm the CEO of Amaya Contracting.
Okay.
We're proposing, and we proposed a little bit over a year ago, not an addition really, but a restructuring of the property there, primarily a 40 by 40 area that is currently a greenhouse, to make that more of a permanent storage solution for this fast-growing business. It's a Mexican grocery store. Unfortunately, the owner went through a very serious health crisis. He was in intensive care for about 6-7 months, has made it through. So that was in the middle of the process of our engineering architectural drawing process, and he's made it through. He's back at the store, the family is, and we're requesting approval for the site plan, and we're very close on the building plans as well.
Okay. Mayor?
Jerry, did they talk to you about adding one condition about the curb? and
Yes.
gutter along the,
It needs to be done.
and you guys don't have a problem with that?
I don't know.
Thank you, sir. And the reason is, it's been a year, is why you have to come back.
Yep, understand.
Members of the commission, does anyone have any other questions for the applicant this evening or comments regarding this item on the agenda?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Seymour?
thank you. You said this is going to be used primarily as just storage?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other comments, or do we have a motion regarding this item on the agenda?
Madam Chairman, make a motion for approval per staff recommendations with the addition of the curb.
Second, Henry.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of the site plan for 316 O'Fallon Plaza for a building addition with the addition of the curb. All members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda this evening is a public comment for a conditional use permit for 900 Caledonia Drive. This is for a motion for recommendation to the City Council regarding a conditional use permit for 900 Caledonia Drive for the proposed use of a movie theater. Do we have someone to present this item? Please.
Good evening. My name is Tristan Ratterman. I will be one of the partial owners of the movie theater. I didn't have it in a digital presentation, but if anybody would like, I put together and printed out a couple things with some renderings of the site if anybody would like them. If not, that is A-okay. I can talk on through it.
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to bring them up, we'll just pass them around.
Absolutely. Thank you. So my name is Tristan Ratterman. I born and raised in St. Charles County, live actually out in St. Peters. I've spent the last roughly decade touring the country working for independent family-owned theaters, both locally and across the Midwest. Everything from the St. Andrew Cinema Dollar Show out in St. Charles down to running the Chase Park Plaza Cinema down in St. Louis in the Central West End, to Skyview Drive-In over in Belleville. Any movie theater you've probably been to, I've probably had a hand in, showing movies over the past couple of years. I've worked primarily for St. Louis Cinemas just up until last year. I've worked in all sorts of different capacities, including projection, operations, programming, general managing, marketing, etc. The theaters I've worked for have consistently gotten recognition, both local and national, in terms of programming. We won a couple Riverfront Times Awards. We even got Skyview Drive-In the best drive-in in America by USA Today last year. And I'm also the founder of a nationally touring cinema-based entertainment group. We do work for things like Six Flags, the City Museum, Ballpark Village, anything like that, just kind of touring around. So my background is entertainment. I also have a background in television production and in live theater as well. So with the Caledonia Theater, that's what we're proposing the name to be, at 900 Caledonia Parkway in O'Fallon. It was built in 2005 by Great Escape Theaters and operated by Regal until 2023. The plan is to reduce the amount of screens from 14 down to 3. That way we can kind of move in the same way that a lot of theaters are doing across the country, where the big multiplexes condense it down and add other entertainment options on site. So with Contender Esports, the arcade, and the third tenant, we are actually flipping kind of what B&B Theaters does, where instead of primarily movies, smaller movies, more entertainment, just to kind of bring something new to the area. The 3 theaters are going to remain the way they are. They're the 3 biggest ones, the 2 dead in the center and 1 off to the left. It's roughly about 800 seats total, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to give them a nice facelift, move the concession stand a little bit closer. That way we're kind of sectioned off there. And the theater's already built. The seats are still installed. Everything's nice. There's not a stain on the carpet. That area was kind of a quiet place for a movie theater, and in my opinion, it was just built a little bit too early for the development around it. So if there's ever a chance movies will work out there, it's now. Our plan for the two largest theaters is to give them a bit of a facelift. We'd like to install some grand Austrian lift drapes and kind of bring people back to the movie entertainment of yesteryear. We plan to install a theater organ for those of you that have kind of experienced that maybe a long time ago at the Fox or even at St. Andrews. That way we can do silent movies, entertain the kids before the shows, do all kinds of fun stuff like that. The kind of whole vibe of the theater is a modern spin on a retro classic. We'd like to really make movies something that are more entertainment-based and less advertisements, less trailers, stuff like that kind of jammed down your throat before the movie starts. Nobody likes it. And we'd like to afford an affordable and unique theater-going experience for audiences of all ages. Affordable is a big problem I always hear about in any theater I've ever worked in or anybody that ever goes to the movies. Our plan is to offer a discounted entry and concessions deal. That way, you know, what you could get for entry somewhere else gets you entry, a popcorn, a soda, an organ show, everything like that. All from the get-go for something affordable. That way you can take not just yourself and your significant other out for a night on the town, but, you know, take the whole family. It's not going to break the bank. Our hours of operation, we're going to operate 365 days a year like any theater. Believe it or not, the busiest days for movie theaters are things like Thanksgiving, Christmas, the holidays. When everybody else is cooped up, the other half of the town is at the movies. So we'll be open 365 days a year. Primarily, unless there is, you know, summer school breaks, anything like that, we'll be open from about 2 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. on the weekdays, opening a little bit later from about 11 a.m. to potentially 1 a.m. on the weekends, and then kind of extending that schedule out based on school breaks, summer, holidays, that kind of thing. In terms of programming, that always seems to be what people ask most about. We plan to show new release movies as well as mix in a nice quality number of repertory titles. So in one theater, we might have the newest Wicked movie or Minecraft. 2 doors down, we might have a Star Wars marathon going all weekend. And again, like the silent movies with the organist is another thing I'd really like to do. I'd also like to run a Looney Tunes marathon on Saturday mornings for the kids. Bring back Saturday morning cartoons, things you haven't seen on screen in a long time, and make it a big event. Just as important as the movies we're showing on screen, we want to do some pre-show entertainment. As I mentioned, the organ, some Looney Tunes stuff, and themed things beforehand. Again, minimal advertisements, minimal trailers. That way you're paying for what you get to see. You're not going there and sitting through 30, 45 minutes of trailers before you get to the new Jurassic Park movie. Concessions items we plan to sell are popcorn, candy, hot dogs, nachos, pretzels. Pepsi products is what we're kind of eyeing right now. Slushies. I'm a big fan of local small-owned business, so we've been talking to a couple local breweries to supply us with some things like that. And then we'd also like to do some themed concessions, like, you know, themed around movies or film festivals or things like that. Out at Skyview Drive-In, I'm not sure how many of you have seen the classic The Blob, but we actually sold cups of Jell-O Blob. So we'd like to do goofy stuff like that throughout the year as well. And I think that's about all I've got from my end.
So members of the commission, does anyone have any questions for, yes, Mayor?
Tristan, on the left, the smaller theater,
Yes.
you have, I guess, baseball on the other side?
Yes.
Is that going to be, what baseball is it? I mean, is it a batting cages? So what I'm worried about is the noise from the batting cages or whatever you're putting in there up against.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've expressed my concerns to them as well. Tim could probably speak more on that. He's more on the building side of things.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if you remember, we were here originally before we purchased the property. Just a brief update
Can you give us
on.
your name and?
Oh,
give us your
sorry.
name and-
Tim Ellie.
Okay.
Thanks. Brief update on where we're at. Obviously, we were here last time for Lava Island, and Lava Island's financing got the brakes put on them pretty hard, and that was a rather right turn for us. And so we are reprogramming everything right now. And actually, we were just really happy to meet Tristan. We were going through and selling movie equipment. You know, all the stuff was almost brand new. Speakers. Met Tristan. He's in that business buying. He said, well, why sell it? Why don't we just open a few of these theaters back up? So that made sense to us. We are pivoting into a family entertainment center. We can't make too many announcements right now about our remaining 15,000 square feet. But the thought is a mixture of electronics and physical activity. And we have talked about games that are like baseball simulation. You've seen golf simulators, same concept. We're vetting out those technologies now to make sure that they're not too gimmicky. They do produce noise. You know, you are actually hitting a ball. It's not an electronic fake ball. That could be addressed in any number of ways. A lot of the theater walls that are still in existence that we won't be using as theaters are double 2x6 walls back to back, insulated with 6 layers of drywall. So we have a lot to work with as far as sound baffling that already comes with the building. So we haven't figured out exactly what that's going to look like. No matter what we put in there, it's likely going to be, it's fun, so it's likely going to make noise. But luckily, we're putting it in a theater, and we do have some existing assets to help knock down that sound so that we can have multiple activities going on at the same time and not interrupt.
Well, I mean, since you're going to have three theaters right next to each other, and I've been to theater, and want to blow your ears out when you're listening to the stuff, and you can't hear the one next door anyway.
Exactly. That's exactly.
That's the only thing I'm worried about is somebody coming into that one theater and then something on the other side annoying them where they can't enjoy the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, we have the same concern.
Okay.
Luckily we can give it a try too. We can test it before we pull the trigger on anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any other questions for me from anybody?
Members of the commission? Does anyone have? Yes, Councilwoman Cook.
So how soon are we looking for everything to get open?
Our first and most important right now, we're laser-like focused on Contender Esports. And we're hoping early summer. We are watching, we have a lot of electronics that are on order. We're watching that very carefully. It's electronics heavy. And so we've got construction going on right now, feverishly. We have tournaments that are, booked, and we're watching our drop-dead dates on those, making sure, we owe it to them to say, hey, if we're not going to make it for your tournament, we have to give you a certain amount of notice. So we are really kind of, in the go time right now, working hard to make it happen. So we're looking early summer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Howard?
There's not going to be any changes to the exterior of the building?
In our first conditional use permit that we came for originally for Contender Esports and Lava Island. Contender Esports is still going, Lava Island dropped out. At that time, we showed the new renderings, which kind of made it a bit more sophisticated in its color scheme. It's kind of black and taupey gray color, so it looks, while today it looks a little carnival-y with the the purples and the blues, it's going to look more classic Art Deco.
Thank you.
Sure.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Seymour.
I really appreciate you keeping a theater element going there. I think that's going to be a good place, like you said. If now's a good time for a theater there. You've got a lot of rooftops going in around. Right now, O'Fallon, there's not a whole lot of places like yours. I can only think of a couple other places. I would say try to keep things for the younger kids. I have a 7-year-old grandson, and there's 2 places that I take him to, and it's very expensive. So I'd like to at least save a little gas money, keep it in O'Fallon. That would be good. But anyway, I wish you the greatest of luck. I really do, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And we hope to meet your grandson there. We do really do think about our price point. In these family entertainment centers, you're going to have some experiences that are more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
We try to offset it with some lower cost ones. And sincerely, we have the movie theaters. They're there, and so that's a huge advantage to us. Our expenses are kind of already understood. We don't have to do a lot of renovations, which allows us to offer below market costs for the movie theaters, which we're excited about. My kids don't go to the movies unless it's with me. You got to
pay for it.
Yeah, they don't go on their own.
Well, if you had this open a couple months ago with the winter we've had, you would have been doing a banner business, I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
Members of the commission, anyone else have any questions or comments regarding this item? So this is a public comment, and we do have one person who's completed a comment card. Mr. Dienoff, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, City Public Advocate, and I'm in favor of the use of this building. This building was made for, as you know, movie theaters, and this is a great repurposing. Kind of sorry that the Lava Island is out. I had some concerns about all three of them going together, if there's going to be enough room. But I'm glad that this building is finally going to be occupied, that they're going to make it to good use, and it'll be a great multi-use entertainment center, hopefully. Parking is what I want to bring to the commission's attention. As you all know, parking there is at an all premium. When you have the soccer park having their tournaments, and it's a Midwest designation, people throughout the Midwest come there to play soccer tournaments. So it brings in a lot of vehicles. They park all over the place. I know there's cross-access agreements, but parking is going to be a problem, I have a feeling, at this location. And I want to make sure that it's addressed, that there's enough ample parking, that there's enough ADA, Americans with Disabilities parking. But I really think that the parking needs to be addressed as a condition on approval of this application. Otherwise, I'm in favor of the conditional use permit. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
If the petitioner would come forward again. Members of the commission, we'll close the public comment with that. And does anyone else have any questions or comments for the petitioner this evening? All right, if not, do we have a motion regarding this item on the agenda?
Motion to recommend approval, Link.
Second, Howard.
All right, we have a motion and a second for a recommendation of approval to the City Council regarding the conditional use permit for 900 Caledonia Drive for the proposed use of a movie theater. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
All right, motion carries. So this will be at next Thursday's City Council meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you
Thank you.
all.
All right, the next item on the agenda this evening is a public comment for a conditional use permit for 306 Narrow Leaf Lane. This is a request for consideration and motion for recommendation to the City Council regarding a conditional use permit for 306 Narrow Leaf Lane. Leon Brown is the property owner for the proposed use, a shed that exceeds 150 square feet. So we have someone here to present this item.
Yes, I'm Leon Brown, the owner of 306 Narrow Leaf.
All right, tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
Well, the shed is actually started my own lawn care service, so it's basically a shed that will be used for storing my equipment. That has to go in the backyard. It's too much equipment to go into my garage, so.
All right. Members of the commission, does anyone have questions for the applicant? Yes, Mayor.
Leanne, do you have approval from the HOA?
No. The HOA, when I didn't contact my HOA, I originally got a ticket from OFallon, so that's when I had started the process with filing an application for a permit with OFallon.
So have you asked the HOA for approval?
I haven't.
Well, to me, you need to go through them first before you come to us.
Okay.
The only way I'm thinking is because the HOA overrides us. We don't override the HOA.
Okay.
So you have to have approval from the HOA. To me, you would have to have approval of the HOA before you come to the city.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, to me, my suggestion is until you get approval from the HOA, I will make a motion to table this thing until you have a letter from the HOA saying that they accept this.
Okay. So what am I supposed to do as far as the tickets and stuff from O'Fallon?
Stephanie?
So the most appropriate thing to do would be to make your next court date, and then just tell them that you're in the process of trying to come into compliance and see if they'll continue the case out for you, and then resolve it once the issue is resolved with the HOA and the city.
Okay.
And I don't see the court denying your motion if you're working on getting approvals from the HOA in the city. I think they'll just, to me, the judge and the prosecuting attorney will say, that's fine.
Well, I mean, it's been going on for about 8 months now. So me having to leave work early to go to court, and
Well,
it's been a hassle.
Tell you what, it's either that or get denied.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to you, but to me, we really can't approve it until you get approval from the HOA.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Seymour?
You said this has been going on for 8 months?
Yeah.
When did you get the ticket?
About 8 months ago. Literally, so I originally was told since it was a portable shed, I didn't have to get a permit. So I guess because of the size of the shed, I have to get a permit.
Did you get the person's name who told you that? Did they work for the city or
Yes.
the HOA?
It was actually like not the zoning commission. I actually called O'Fallon, the city of O'Fallon, and asked. Once I had got the ticket, because the shed got delivered one day, and it was a ticket 2 days later. So I'm sure one of my neighbors called because the shed was delivered.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have worked for code enforcement for the city of O'Fallon at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I never wrote anybody a ticket and gave them an 8-month court date.
No, I've been going back in court. I've probably been in court about 5 or 6 times.
Oh, my word.
I got court Monday for it, so.
Okay, so I strongly urge you to listen to what the mayor told you. I would contact your HOA.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
I can't believe you've been doing this for 8 months, man. I feel for you.
Yeah.
But I think I would behoove you to really contact your HOA and then take it from there. And
Okay.
I know for sure the city's wanting to put this to bed too after
Okay.
8 months. So
Yeah.
they'll be more than willing to work with you on it.
Okay.
All right? Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay, so this is a public comment, Mr. Brown, and we did have one person who filled out a comment card
Okay.
to talk about this. So if you'll step aside for a moment, we'll let him come forward. Mr. Dienoff?
Oops. I think we're missing part of the microphone. Sorry, I don't know how that happened. Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, and this issue keeps coming up with our codified code, section 400.275A, subsection A, subsection 2, subsection C, subsection 2, about oversized sheds. And so I would like the staff and commission to review this code. He's looking for an addition of 42 square feet. I believe the maximum allowed is 150 square feet. If you drive around our city, there's a lot of sheds that I would say are probably over 150 square feet. So we really need to look at modifying our code, in my opinion, to accommodate these applications and these asks before the commission. And not only that, but it also goes before the City Board of Adjustment. To the applicant, Mr. Brown, I would highly encourage you to ask the chairwoman for a table like the mayor had recommended. I think that you can work this out between staff, between the courts, if you go to court and tell the municipal judge that you're in the midst of obtaining an application for permitting and a conditional use permit. I know the judge, he's a compassionate, concerned, caring person, and he'll understand your plight. So I would highly encourage you to ask the chairwoman or the mayor to make a recommendation for table till April or May until you can figure this out. Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman.
All right, with that, we'll close the public comment and ask the petitioner to come forward again. Members of the commission, anyone else have any other questions or comment? Commissioner Howard?
So if I understand, all we have is approve, deny, and table. Is that the three options? I mean, I don't have a problem with tabling it, but I don't want it to be indefinite. I mean, for eternity. I mean,
Under Robert's Rules of Order, anyway, there's a limit on how long something can lay on the table.
What is that?
I believe it's 3 months.
Okay, so that's just a default.
Correct.
And at that end of that 3 months, if this gets approved and everything by the HOA, he can come back in the 5th month, the 4th month, or whatever, and not have an issue with a year.
Yeah, he can notify staff as soon as he gets HOA approval. And then they would notify you, and then you could make the motion to remove it from the table. After 3 months, if it's still on the table, we are going to give you notice that it's going to fall off the table if you don't take some kind of action on it, which I believe that we've done before.
Thank you. I just didn't want it sitting around for 6-7 years, you know. It's just a bookmark.
So the city does notify the petitioner when it's getting ready to drop off?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you understand that, Mr. Brown?
Yes.
If we chose to table this tonight, then you have an opportunity to get your affairs in order and then come back without having to wait too long.
Yes, I understand.
All right. Mayor?
Do you want to be tabled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner.
Mr. Brown, I would recommend that you get a hold of your HOA because they may have already started court proceedings against you to have that shed removed. You may not be aware of that.
Okay.
So I would recommend you do that.
So, Madam Chairwoman, I would like to make a motion to table this item until Mr. Brown can come back with information from his HOA.
Second, Nunnery.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table this item. This is the property at 306 Narrowleaf for a shed that exceeds 150 square feet. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
All right,
Did you close the public comment?
I thought I did, but
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
I did. Okay.
That's fine.
So you understand now what you need to do
Yes.
so that you can come back and hopefully have a positive outcome for you.
Yes,
So,
I
all right.
understand.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda this evening is a request for consideration and motion for action on a site plan for 512 Sondren Street, Rooted Garden Center, for the proposed use of a garden center. Do we have someone to present this item?
Good evening. My name is Danny Jones. I'm one of the owners. Let me pull this up. Hey, Spencer. You mind telling me where on this desktop it was? Oh, I gotcha. Perfect. So here is the plans. We were actually here last year about this time. Mike Ballman, who was architect, he kind of led the proceedings for us. We were in a little over ahead, I think, with the process as new business owners when we started. And financially, there was some things that we hadn't, I don't want to say we hadn't considered, but they were just a little beyond our means at the time. So over the last year, we've removed the building, paid for all of the engineering plans, all the Mechanicals, everything out of pocket, went through a couple different survey issues that David's been excellent with helping us out, figure that out with some of the, I don't want to say inaccuracies, but some of the confusion with the old surveys and the new ones. So we also ran into some issues with our contractor who had some health issues, and we had a couple other kind of snafus as well. So now we're ready. We've kind of regrouped. We've made a few amendments that we've talked to several people, David and Spencer and everybody else about, to make a few amendments to the plan aesthetically. Nothing that's going to change the overall scope of the project, but we're ready to hopefully start as soon as possible, so we're ready to be full retail by fall. I don't know if anybody has any questions. There's no real changes other than some aesthetic issues like different windows, some material changes, things like that.
Mayor?
Are you where are you going to store the rock and everything else? Are you putting that in now?
Yeah, so the bins, depends on budget. We might not be able to do those large, like the material, the mulch and the rock bins. If we can't, then we just won't retail that until we're at a place where we can purchase those. So that's about $80,000 of storage bin material to make that happen. And it's kind of lower on the priority list. We really want to get the trees, the irrigation system set up, the plants. That's really what our primary focus on. The bulk goods is not really a financial driver anyway. It's just kind of an auxiliary thing to sell with it. So if we don't have that just yet, after talking to the city, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue because we're just going to, this area up here, yeah, that's just likely not going to be there. So you'll be able to see our green fence, our screening, so our trees and whatever our actual hard fence is, and there just won't be any build up there, at least to start. Now, if everything goes great with the budget, maybe we can get it in there. After seeing some of the numbers, I think we had 6 or 7 different contractors look at it, and the numbers were anywhere from 400 to over $1 million, and we are hoping to be in that, that 5 range. And I think with a few of the smaller amendments that we've made, we can realistically get in there. We'll just, if there's fat to trim, that's the first place we want to trim it for sure.
So, David, if we approve it with those bins in there and he doesn't put them in, how long does he have to? Because it's going to be on the site plan, right? I mean, we're approving this. We're approving the site plan, but if they don't put the bins in for 2 years, I mean, how does that work? I don't have a problem approving the bins, but if he doesn't put them in,
yeah, we could do it as like a separate building permit. If we could approve it, with the setback being approved, and we'd have the construction plans approved that way. But then if it's going to be a couple years down the road, we would probably want to do just a building permit for the construction of that at that point.
I just want to make sure that if we're approving this and the bins don't go in, I don't want us going to him and going, you got to fork out another $400,000 or whatever to put these bins in.
So my assumption, after talking to David, and I kind of assumed if we did table it and had to readdress later on, then we would just have to reopen up the process.
No, I don't want to table it. I mean, I want to get your site plan done, but...
I used the wrong word with table. I didn't mean I just meant like the concept of if we had to push that section off until, sometime in the future, if we had to come back to get approval, we were kind of working on the assumption that would be part of it.
Okay, I just want to make sure before,
Yeah, we're not holding the city to, hey, you said 7 years ago that we could do this. I totally understand that if we can't get it in, it's a budgetary constraint and we'll have to readdress.
Okay.
So if you guys want to say yes, then great, but I'm not holding anybody to it.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, assuming that this is going to go this way, is that just going to be maintained gravel, or are you going to plant grass, sod? What's going to happen?
Right. So, this section's probably going to remain as it is now, which is sod. The only way we would have gravel there is if we needed a vehicle or equipment traffic to get to the actual material. And if there's no bins, there's no need to drive through. We'll just have maintained grass. Same with the tree yard itself. Some of those areas where the trees are actually healed in will likely be gravel as opposed to mulch, just because the runoff is not going to be severe and irrigation is much better.
Sure.
But everywhere that's not occupying material is going to remain grass.
Right, okay, that's what I wanted to know, what, you'll maintain it that way until, or to put the bins in.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you.
And then as far as the changes to the structure, like I said, we work with Dave and his team on that. Nothing's going to change with the actual outlook of the building, just small, like aesthetic changes, like different types of doors, windows, some minor material adjustments just to trim some budget. But the project scope is going to, and the use is going to be identical to what was proposed last year.
Commissioner Howard?
So are we going to approve it without the bins, and then they come back and get the bins later? Is that what we're saying?
Both.
We can't do both. My suggestion is approve it without the bins, and then once you get the budget, whatever figured out, if you can do it, then basically just come back in, and to me it'd be just a revised site plan, wouldn't it, David?
We could do it as that, or maybe like an informational, but I think we could figure that out.
Okay.
As it goes, yeah.
Okay, perfect. As of now, Colin and Mike, formerly Ballman, now CJB, they're working on the final mechanicals, so they don't have to, I'll just have them remove that, because my guess is we're probably not going to have the budget. If I was, I don't want to say I'm being pessimistic, but just being realistic or
You're
pragmatic.
a betting man?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know betting odds, but it wouldn't be great. I would say it's slim, especially the asphalt. There's a good chance we're going to have to redo instead of resurface. So that's going to kind of push us a little bit. And then I don't think any of us realized what went into filling a basement engineer-wise, like just the cost associated with that to put a new structure over an existing basement. But for the most part, we're ready. We've got everything kind of running.
Wait, that restaurant had a basement?
Surprise. Yeah, it was awful.
Surprise.
Yeah, so we call it a $20,000 basement because that's how much money it costs to fill it, essentially. You pay a guy to babysit us while you watch us fill it. But no, there's been a few surprises along the way. And I think now for Thomas and I, it's been a major learning process. This is our first commercial property, a relatively new business. This is our 4th year. And then buying a property was not really in the cards. The opportunity was striking, and we wanted to take a chance on it. And I think now we're in a much better state financially, especially the business. And we ate up most of the costs of the initial upfront costs, all the engineering. So I think we're maybe close to $50,000 in engineering and architectural, plus the demo of the building. So now we're finally ready to start the draw schedule at the bank. Let Old Monroe pay for the rest of it. But we're ready to move on it, though. And I appreciate you guys' patience, letting us kind of work through this for the last year.
Commissioner Howard?
Thank you, ma'am. One of the things I'd like for you to watch out for is the public entrance and exit. Make sure there's a light there so that you can see to get in and out without a problem. And the enclosure for the trash dumpster, you've gone to a poured concrete, which should have some kind of a finish on it that complements the building.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Rather than just like a concrete basement wall.
No prison cell. No. So I think for this property to work, aesthetic is of paramount importance to us. Or else it's not going to be. People aren't going to want to come in there and use us to design their landscapes and sell them the products if our building looks like crap. So we definitely want to make sure with everything from our fencing to our product that it looks good.
Thank you, sir.
All right, members of the commission, anyone else have any other questions or comments regarding this item? If not, do we have a motion regarding this item?
Madam Chair, make a motion for approval with the removal of the bins. And when he comes back, that will be either informational item or revised site plan. That's going to let up staff deal with that.
Okay.
Second, Nunnery.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the site plan for 512 Sondren Street for a garden center with the removal of the bins. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda this evening is a public comment for a conditional use permit for 407 Briscoe Avenue. This is a request for consideration and motion for recommendation to the City Council regarding a conditional use permit for 407 Briscoe Avenue for a shed that exceeds 150 square feet. Do we have someone to present this item?
Hi. Hello, I'm Jamie Biggs. I live at 407 Briscoe Avenue. We're just trying to get a shed. It's 200 square foot. It was my father-in-law's. He passed away January 1st, and he gifted it to us. So, yeah, we're just trying to get it for storage and stuff. Nobody is going to be living in it, though. Maybe if I get mad at my husband, I'll send him out there, but no.
All right, members of the commission, does anyone have any questions? Mayor?
Jamie, your neighbors don't have any problem with it?
Do what?
Your neighbors do not have any problem with it?
Actually, nobody lives next to us right now, so.
So you don't have any neighbors that's gonna complain? Okay, and you guys don't have an HOA there?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Do what?
All right, Commissioner Howard?
Is there an existing shed in the backyard?
Yes, we do have one.
Is that
Classic
being
one.
removed, or
If it needs to be, we can.
how, do you know what size it is?
Maybe like a 12 by 12, 10 by 10. I know I have a permit for it.
I'm just, I don't know whether you got enough room for that much back there and still be inside the setback requirements.
I'm not sure. I mean, we could remove it, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Seymour?
There's also, I believe we can check with David, there's a lot coverage maximum. You can have structures on that lot. Is that right, David?
Yeah, for anything under roof, it'd be, it's R1, 35% of the lot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know if that applies to her particular area where she lives, but you can only have so many structures under roof.
Okay.
And
Just-
if
it's
it's
just the size.
35%.
Okay.
Yeah, just the size total, it's not really.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and then again, the other commissioner was correct. You have lot lines, you have rear setbacks, that no structures are allowed to be over.
Okay.
Okay, so where the new shed's going compared to where the old shed is existing, and make sure you check with the city and make sure you're got them both in the right place.
Okay, yeah, I think they said 10 off the back and 6 off the sides.
Okay, thank you. Make sure, of course, you do have a permit.
Yeah.
So you just don't have anybody living around you right now?
The neighbors moved out about 6 months ago. They were just renting, and I guess they're like cleaning it up and redoing it. And then the guy next door, he's like never there, so we've never met him.
Are they aware of what your plan? I mean, do you have any, they get notification of this, right?
We have the big thing in our front yard that says public notice.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? If not, this is a public comment, so we do have one person who's completed a comment card, so Mr. Dienoff?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission. I'm back and forth with this issue. It's a smaller lot, but again, these are becoming more applications. And again, I would ask the commission and staff to look at the codified code, which is 470, I believe, 470, to see if there's a need to increase the square footage that's needed in this issue. I do have a problem with too many structures on the property, but it sounds like the applicant is willing to remove the original shed. And of course, I want to make sure that all the setbacks are being met and she was right. It's 6 foot on the sides and 10 foot on the rear setback. That's per our codified code. So I'll leave it in your hands on the vote. Thank you.
All right, that will close the public comment. We'll ask the petitioner to come forward. Members of the commission, any other questions or comments? So it currently is not a condition on the staff report. I was looking at that she removed the existing shed there.
Yep, right, we didn't have that as a condition.
To me, I would leave it up to the homeowners if they need the other shed. It's their property. I don't have a problem with both of them. I mean, if they don't need it, they'll take it down. If they do need it, they'll keep it. It's your property.
Yeah, it still looks really good too.
I mean, if staff didn't have the recommendation to remove it, so long as they don't go over the 35%, right, David?
Yeah, that'd be right. That'd be something we look a little closer at with the building permit, but just kind of eyeballing it, it's not going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we just leave it on there and without any kind of a comment, if we choose to approve it, could become an issue when they get the building permit. And that would be dealt with then.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to worry about it, in other words. Stephanie, are you agreeing with that? Yeah.
I am.
I just did some rough calculations.
That's what that means.
Yeah, well, I would
Looks
just
to
like to
be
hear it.
about 20% lot coverage, including this new shed, so she should be plenty under still.
And still with the code, okay. All right. Members of the commission, do we have a motion regarding this item on the agenda?
Madam Chair, I make a recommendation of approval based upon staff conditions. Howard.
Second, Wexler.
All right, we have a motion and a second for a recommendation of approval to the City Council regarding the conditional use permit for 407 Briscoe Avenue for a shed that exceeds 150 square feet. Members of the commission, cast your vote.
Voting is closed.
All right, motion carries, and this will be at next Thursday's council meeting? City
Yes,
Council.
ma'am.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing for a preliminary plat at 1620 Market Center Boulevard. This is a request for consideration and motion of action on a preliminary plat for property at 1620 Market Center Boulevard. MERS Goodwill Industries is the contract purchaser for a commercial subdivision. And also, this is a request for consideration and motion for action on a site plan for the property at 1620 Market Center Boulevard. MERS Goodwill Industries is the contract purchaser for a new Goodwill facility. Do we have someone to present this item this evening?
My name is Ben Kinzel with 21 Design Group. We're doing the engineering for Goodwill. The plat is just simply really a boundary line adjustment on two parcels that are there, and we're actually cutting off a small parcel to cover the detention basin, so there's easier to restrict and allow maintenance for ongoing future issues or concerns.
Okay.
Would you like to see those?
Yeah.
Sorry we didn't send in the digital copy.
Oh, okay.
Basically, there was a road here, and the property line was originally here. There's an underground detention basin located over here. We wanted to break that off and get it under a maintenance agreement for all shared costs throughout the development. And then we wanted to ship this lot over. We didn't want to build over that. Just concerns, it's 20-something years old, so we just wanted to keep it out of our parking lot so it keeps our costs down for future maintenance. And that's basically why we're doing this.
Okay. And so you're doing that mainly partly for the commercial subdivision part of it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then we also are going to discuss the site plan.
And kind of lines up with what we were just saying. We're going to leave this as grass It was planned to be paved over. We just want to avoid that area. And then the road was here, and we just want to shift it over to allow so that we could make it a buildable lot still. If we stayed off that, it made our building really odd and unique. So, but this is still left for a developable lot.
Okay.
That's where we're standing.
All right, members of the commission, does anyone have any questions for the petitioner? Commissioner Seymour?
Thank you. Sir, about how far off the front property line is that property that you're going to abandon right now? Just
This here?
Yeah, about how far back?
It's not going to be abandoned. It's got underground detention under it, so we just don't want to build over it or develop over it.
Okay, so you're just going to build over it and...
The parking lot's going to be here, and this right here will be underground detention. It's actually there already today.
It's already...
The detention is already there, the underground.
It's already in
pipes.
place, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You're just going to leave that in grass, right?
Yeah, and you can see it on here. You can see the infrastructure there.
About how far is it?
It's about 65, 70 feet perpendicular
Back off
to
the
the
street,
right of way.
off of K?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Nunnery?
If I understood Ethan correctly, during the pre-meeting, there was some discussion about increasing the drive width from 24 to 25.
Where was that at?
Ethan, would you like to address that again, please?
Yeah, I think there was a couple spots in the parking lot where the drive aisle was not 25 feet. So we'll just need to adjust that throughout the parking lot. And I don't remember if there was any other spot that had that, but I know there were a couple in the parking lot. So we'll just, the conditions on there is to review the whole site and make sure that all of them meet that.
Yeah, I see one here, just on this side. This is the only one that's left is 24, and we can make that one 25 if need be.
Ethan,
Is there something else?
other than that one?
There was something about the 10-foot too, but I don't remember.
Let me pull up the. Yeah, it would have had to been with the trail out front. It's currently 8 feet. We have a condition on there to revise that to 10 feet. They were showing the routing of that trail as basically the back of the shoulder of Highway K, instead of where it's currently running right now at 8 feet. So we have the condition to align that with the way it's currently lined up now, and just make it 10 feet. So.
And we did have it included on our site plan on the resubmittal.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. This is a public hearing, and we have one person who's completed a comment card, Mr. Dienoff.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C., AC Dienoff, City Public Advocate. First of all, Goodwill has a store on North Highway K. I hope that they're not closing that facility, and this is going to be their South Highway K store, so it'll be an addition to the community. This corporate center is kind of interesting. It's been around for a long time. It's been stalled for years in terms of developing these parcels. There's a current dental facility, an orthodontic center, and an ambulance station within this land area, this complex. My only problem is Goodwill, they do some good works. I know that they pay their CEO and their CFO a lot of money in terms of salary, and it doesn't really go to the community and to the organization. But they have a not-for-profit status, a 401c3 designation. So therefore, this facility would be tax exempt, and they would be paying no real estate taxes or personal property taxes. And of course, they are exempt because of their community status by the Missouri Department of Revenue, and there will be no sales tax paid at this facility. So basically, this area, which is the frontage of our retail commercial areas of Missouri Highway K, is going to yield zero income to the city of O'Fallon, zero income to our ambulance, our fire protection district, our library district, our school district, community college district, and other districts that cover this area, including the county of St. Charles. When it comes to the trail, I'm in agreement with staff that it needs to be expanded to 10 foot and be compliant with ADA regulations on the frontage of Missouri Route K. And then, of course, they're going to have their internal sidewalks, and I'm sure those will be ADA compliant. I'll leave it up to you if you want to approve this or not, but it's going to yield zero revenue for our community. They do some good services and have good missions, but if you look at their reports with the federal government, they pay their higher echelon cabinet members a little bit high salaries and benefits and bonuses. So I'll leave it up to you on how you want to decide. Thank you.
All right, with that, we will close the public hearing and ask the petitioner to come forward again. Members of the commission, we have two items on this item on the agenda. One is the preliminary plat, and also for the site plan. So, Commissioner Howard?
Chair, thank you very much. I have a concern with the fact that the county has indicated that this is Market Center 2 wards, and it was plotted as Market Center 1 ward. And they have issued information to all the emergency fire, ambulance, police, everything, that it's a 2-word designation instead of a 1. And it needs to be clarified and corrected with the city one way or another. Because if
Is that addressing or?
it's an address, right? I mean, it's 1600 Market Center Boulevard. And that was a notice of address assignment by the county. So that's something that needs to be straightened out with the county, either change the plot for that street, or have the county to recognize it as a 1-word.
We'll follow up with them.
Another question I had was on sheet C10 of the plans you provided. It shows the turning radiuses for the delivery trucks to the dock. Were any of them able to get out of there without running over the curbs?
Yeah, they can get out.
Right on the end of the island that separates the street from the loading docks, there is a light, and there's also a storm sewer inlet. And I have concerns about the trucks running over that all the time. And there should be bollards put in there to protect that. Because I've seen too many trucks. You can make it under perfect conditions, but they're going to be running over the end of that curve all the time. And it's either put in bollards now and stop them, or buy lights. Because you're going to be tearing up our poles every other time they pull out of there.
Yeah, we can do that.
Also, you're redoing the street behind this building, and there's no sidewalks on that street. That street will eventually extend to the lots to the south, and there will be pedestrian traffic through there. Hopefully there'll be some restaurants or some commercial that goes in there, and there will be pedestrian access, so there needs to be sidewalks provided. Here is there should be some kind of a connection between the sidewalk that gets to the building and the south end of the lot at Highway K. Anybody in the neighborhood that walks from that direction, they're not going to go down to the street and come around and back in. They're going to cut across the property. And so,
You're basically asking for another sidewalk.
yeah, something in that location. You already have a crosswalk and access to a walk that runs along a parking lot there. Just a connection. Otherwise, you're going to have a dirt path in there with pedestrians walking through there. The trail that they're showing on the plans, that new one you're putting in, I didn't see whether it was an ADA curb cut at Market Center So that needs to be in there too, please.
Yeah, to be ADA compliant, we can do that.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Members of the commission, does anyone else have any other questions or comments? All right. If not, do we have a motion regarding the first item, the request for consideration and motion for action on the preliminary plat for the property at 620 Market Center Boulevard for the commercial subdivision?
Motion for approval for staff recommendations, Hennessy.
Second, Nunnery.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of the preliminary plat for the property at 1620 Market Center Boulevard for the 3-lot commercial subdivision. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
All right, the motion carries. Do we have a motion regarding the site plan for the property at 1620 Market Center Boulevard?
Madam Chair, make a recommendation of approval based upon staff conditions with the addition of bollards being provided to protect the lights at the loading dock, sidewalks down the new street, the east, to the west of the building, and the path over to the trail highway K from the parking lot.
Second, Nunnery.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the site plan with the additional requirements of adding bollards, the sidewalk to the west, and making a path to the trail. Mayor?
Do we need to add all the 25-foot aisles? Do we need to add that?
We have that.
You already have it?
That's already on a condition, yeah.
All right.
All right, so those 3 items added to the recommendation of approval to the site plan. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
All right. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing for Title IV Land Use, Chapter 405. Do we have someone here to present this item on the agenda?
Good evening. The staff has recommended changes to code 405.23 and 405.24. 405.23 changes the code to allow the use of high-density polypropylene pipe for stormwater sewers. This is a change in the code to allow the staff code to be brought up to industry standards and to mimic MSD specifications as well. And also the changes to code 405.24, which outlines the ownership of pipe coming in and out of public detention basins. There was some confusion and some contradictions in the previous code about who owns what section of the storm sewer system. So this clears that up for that, clears up those sections of the code.
All right, members of the commission, does anyone have any questions or comments regarding this? So who does own the pipe?
It depends. Right now, it was kind of confusing of who does own the pipe. What we wanted to clear the information up was the pipes going into and out of the detention ponds are privately owned because the detention basins themselves and the subdivisions are privately owned. So the last section of pipe going into the detention pond is privately owned, and the section of pipe coming out of the detention pond is also privately owned. And when it switches from publicly owned to privately owned, we have it in the code that there needs to be a transition structure to be clear where the transition between public and private is.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions or comments regarding this? Yes.
I just got one question. When was this material placed in the code?
The high-density polypropylene pipe?
Right.
I'm not actually exactly sure when MSD accepted the material, but that is, we had quite a few meetings over this and had some demonstrations and about the high-density polypropylene pipe, and that is industry standard and MSD, and we do follow MSD code for that. So that brings our code in line with MSD. I'm not sure exactly when MSD accepted the high-density polypropylene pipe.
It's just storm sewers we're
Storm
talking?
sewer, yes.
Right, okay.
Correct.
All right. Now, do you see widespread use of that?
It is becoming more and more common, yes.
And this is what's being used in our new subdivisions?
Not yet, I don't believe so, because it's not been approved in the code yet.
Is there any other municipality in St. Charles County that's already adopted this?
I'm not aware of, I'm not sure of I'm not sure of the answer to that question.
And as far as, and it's hard, I guess you can estimate that as far as the concrete versus this whatever, ethylene pipe.
Yes. From what we have been told, the polypropylene pipe is much more manageable, much lighter, and easier than the concrete pipe.
Obviously, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You said one question. You said one question.
Sorry about that.
Quite all right.
That was two.
So, members of the commission, any other questions or comments, or do we have a motion for?
Public hearing.
Oh, thank you for the reminder. Yes, all right, this is a public hearing, so if you'll step aside, Mr. Dienoff.
She tried.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission. I'm having some heartburn with changing the code here. Concrete is a long-term solution, and you're looking at 50 to 75 years of good service, probably a lot longer. This polypropylene pipe, I don't think it's been adequately tested, and so it kind of sounds like some developers might want to cut corners. I'm not sure what the cost is, but it's probably a lot less expensive than concrete. So my questions are, what is the longevity and the transition from the private to the public? We're just talking about a small stint, or are we talking about the entire piping? I would be in favor of the concrete over the polypropylene or polypropylene. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So if it's cutting corners and not getting the longevity that we need, I'm going to have to go on record as being opposed to this change code. And those are my comments. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll close the public hearing. Members of the commission, does anyone have any other questions or comments or a motion regarding a recommendation to the city council?
Motion to approve the redlined additions noted. Nunnery.
Second, Seymour.
All right, we have a motion and a second for recommendation of approval to the city council regarding an ordinance amending Title IV, Land Use, Chapter 405. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
All right, motion carries, and this will be at the next city council meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda this evening is the consent calendar. This has the Stormwater Management and Best Practices Facilities Maintenance Agreement, or Harvest at Hopewell Phase 2, on it. Do we have a motion regarding the consent calendar?
Motion to send forward Nunnery.
Second, Wexler.
All right, we have a motion and a second for a recommendation of approval to the city council regarding the consent calendar. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Voting is closed.
All right, motion carries, or the consent calendar is approved. And at this point, we have a city council action update. Do we have someone to present this item?
Yes, there was 3 things that the council had approved, that we had approved at the last meeting in February. And those were for conditional use permits for Starbucks on Main Street, the Quick Trip on Main Street, and the convenience store on Westridge. Those were all approved by the city council. And while I have a second, I was wanting to point your attention to a handout we gave you right before the meeting. It's like a two-page sheet. Let's just let you know, we're working on a code change for the next meeting in April. And we've got a list there of the things we're working on. So I just want to bring that to your attention to give you some time to look at it and know we're working on that coming up. And we've got a spreadsheet on the second page that compares what we have related to sheds. That was the topic tonight. So we're looking at maybe changing that to increase the size. Is one thing we've been talking about. Density in the downtown area, to have a different requirement for just the downtown for residential density. Solar farm, require a conditional use permit for ones that are over a certain size. And then this has kind of come up over the past, is the metal siding. We've been kind of questioned on this in the past. And there are some metal panels that we've never really allowed in commercial areas. But there's been some more kind of recent kind of sophisticated looking metal panels, not the rib panels like I think we were talking about when we adopted this code a long time ago. But I think we want to look at allowing metal, siding these kind of panels in commercial districts. So we're doing some research on that. I've been talking to an architect on this, and we'll have some information from them also. But those are some of the things we're talking about for our April code change.
All right. Does anyone else have anything else for this evening's meeting? All right. If not, we will adjourn the March 6, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.